Jeff Bezos, I mean, that's what the Alexa app and talking to Alexa, he based it off the Star Trek computer. He stated that was where the idea came from. So all the stuff that's happened, in science fiction, it's done off a dream, and the technology is catching up to where the dreams are. Mm-hmm. I just pray that it doesn't turn into some Skynet type thing. Worst case scenario, we're ruled irrelevant.
Right. And Elon Musk has warned on that exact thing. If human beings are an obstacle, it will just eliminate human beings and have no second thought about it.
1, 2, 3, go.
Jennifer Hardy, har har.
Believe it or not.
Welcome to the Lawyer Dana Show.
The Lawyer Dana Podcast.
Wow, we have a lot to talk about.
And we're going to do it right after this.
Welcome to the Lawyer Dana Podcast.
Darrell Hale.
Nice to
Hi,
meet
nice to
you.
meet you.
Very nice to meet
Jennifer
you.
Hardy, har har. Her last name's Har, and that's just the way I say it. So, Darrell is the county commissioner for Collin County. One of them, one of four, right?
One of four, yeah.
And then there's also the county judge, who so Chris is gonna be coming on the show, and my first question to him is, I think I'm gonna say, what the hell is a county judge? So Darrell, so Keith Self, who is just now in Congress, and we may be talking about the 11th vote scenario for Speaker of the House here in a minute too.
I thought they've had 11 already.
They've had 11.
Okay.
Yeah. The 11, 1, 5, 11, however many.
How it's nothing compared to the 1850 whatever, where they had 133 votes or something. It took them 2 months. Yeah, so I saw a comment that was like, y'all need to go back to the 1800s. You're a bunch of crybabies if you're whining about 11. They did 133. I saw that comment.
Awesome.
It was Mark Davies.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So Matt Gaetz.
Gates. I don't know. I know who you're talking about.
So it depends on what Matt gets. We'll call him Matt Gaetz. Apparently, he's the Gates keeper. That he's one of the 20 holdouts. So here's the background. Congress is they're electing a Speaker of the House. The Republicans have the majority, but the Republicans are not agreeing with each other because the argument is what's the name of the guy who's they're trying to elect? Like 190 of them are for, and 20 of them are against. What is it?
McCarthy?
Yeah, Kevin McCarthy. And they're saying Kevin McCarthy is kind of a bit of the swamp, and they want certain changes. They want term limits to come up as a potential bill.
They just want them to be able to vote on things.
They want them to be able to vote on things. They want them to have to be present on things. They want to have at least 3 days notice on bills where they're going to spend $2 trillion, which I am very much in the support of. I would like them to be able to
They want them to actually vote on a budget.
Exactly.
They actually want to vote on a budget, to not actually have continuing resolutions. They want to, we haven't actually had a real budget in 20 years.
I believe it.
It's been continuing resolutions. We've been operating essentially on a budget from 20 years ago with percentages added to each category, or just raw dollar amounts.
I saw an interview with Newt Gingrich talking about the budgeting that they were doing in the 90s. And at least according to him, if they would have progressed in the way that they were progressing, we would have paid off the debt in 2020. Mm-hmm. And instead, the debt is, what is it, 40 trillion coming up? 35, 40 trillion?
Yeah.
That's unfathomable.
Yeah.
I think of things in terms of, all right, I think Star Wars, all the movies, all the merchandise, $37 billion. All of Harrison Ford's movies, almost all of Hollywood. How many? Like $100 billion. So every time we spend $1 trillion, we are giving away or spending 10 full movie industries. And how big is that industry? What else is there? How much are we borrowing against? How many times have we pledged the entire country multiple times that our kids have to pay off. Our kids and grandkids, they have to pay that off. How are they going to pay that off? Inflate the dollar to where $1 trillion is only the equivalent of $1 billion now? Deflate the economy 1,000-fold to where, I mean, and that look at when in history, where a $100 bill now buys what a $1 bill used to be. Well, I guess that's how you do it. You make it to where $1 trillion has the buying power of $1 billion. That's how much inflation that we have to pay it out with.
Yeah, and unfortunately, people are getting double whammy. They're having inflation plus, their wealth is diminished, 30% over the past year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we talked about quite a bit of that, but are you aware? Have you been watching? Do you know anything about what the Speaker of the House situation is?
A little bit, but I mean, I don't think my kids will ever be able to afford their own home. I worry about that.
Well, your oldest will if he's banking 50 or more % of the money he's making from Chick-fil-A and then invests it.
Yeah.
I think he will be able to.
Buy some land in Arkansas.
That's what we were talking about.
Yeah.
Apparently, land in Arkansas is
in property tax. It's they pay a state income tax, but their property tax is minuscule. So, like,
how's the freedom level? Because I think the ideal freedom level would be to live in Florida, with what Ron DeSantis is doing and keeping all of the nonsense out from the federal government. I think the federal government is just screwing up as much as possible.
Aren't you scared of sinkholes?
The state.
Do they have sinkholes in Florida?
Yes.
Yeah, in Arkansas, the state government's really weak.
You've taken away all my hope in life.
Did you not ever see that hotel that literally collapsed?
Oh, I did see that, but that was
building issues.
Yeah, I think that was more cheapo engineering or something. Are there houses that are getting sinkholes? I know that's happening a lot in South America.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Arkansas, growing up there, it's probably like how Texas was 40, 50 years ago.
He's making a really good case for Arkansas in this podcast.
Yeah, I mean, I'll show you after the podcast. I'll pull some stuff up on my laptop. If you've got spare money sitting around to buy a couple 100 acres, you can own a couple bluffs on either side of a pristine river and, 150, 200 acres and, nice home sites. And,
wow.
It's, they have pictures of deer running through. And
we're moving the podcast. Apparently, I can get land cheap enough to move you guys too. We'll build some properties. You guys want to rent or own? You can go. You can buy next to it. Do we have a producer cam on you guys yet? We'll figure that out next time. We got some new producers here. We used to have one when we had Rick and Greg, and you guys are a little more shy than not Greg, but at least Rick.
Yeah.
Rick would freely butt in, and it was really funny when he did it most of the time too. So
it was the voice of God coming in from
a little bit, especially if I mentioned Star Wars.
Oh yeah, Rick had a lot of knowledge.
Yeah. So that Speaker of the House. So Matt Gaetz nominated Donald Trump to be Speaker of the House, and I saw that meme and things going around. Now, I'm going to give you 2 cents, and I'm going to try and be non-politically biased about this. But for 2 reasons, I think almost anybody would like Donald Trump to be Speaker of the House. 1, he really did do a lot of actual stuff when he was president. I think he could actually go in and clean up Congress from the inside and actually make that thing run better for whatever reason.
Powerful sanctions will go into full effect. If the regime continues its nuclear aspirations, it will have bigger problems.
And 2, just wouldn't that be just hellaciously entertaining?
Oh, it would drive.
And I think it would.
It would drive the other party up the wall.
Well, I think what it would do is maybe deadlock everything, and maybe deadlock is what the government needs. Because part of it is if they do nothing, the country, I think, on its own will get better. Because they will stop interfering in us and stop putting the brakes and stopping us from doing everything.
That's what happened during the Clinton years when Gingrich was around. They hit this point where it was a little bit more paralyzed, and everything took care of itself. interest rates normalized. The budget balanced. They couldn't pass a tax increase. They couldn't pass a tax decrease, and actually revenue started coming in that actually neutralized the debt. They started paying off the debt.
Tremendous growth because of the internet. The internet came in through that time. So the United States grew, and when the government didn't grow with it, all of a sudden we start coming out of all the problems.
Yeah, there will be another invention, some new ingenuity that occurs that causes another leap forward that makes things more efficient.
AI is the most likely culprit of that.
Yeah.
But the problem is AI is remarkably dangerous. I have seen a lot of Elon Musk is at the forefront of his fear about that, and I am starting to understand a lot of his fears about that, because it is something that, depending on where it gets, it's already smarter than a human being with perfect memory and perfect recall of everything. And if it figures out how to jump through different systems, there's no telling what it can do. And the amount of manipulation that's there is incredible. And especially now, they're in the forefront, and I worry about this in court big time, is video fakery is so good, and it's so common now and so easy and well distributed among the general population. We are going to start seeing fake videos presented in court as actual evidence. And the bigger the deal it is, the more likely that it is. And the more prevalent this is, and the better it is, the more likely it's going to be virtually impossible to disprove or show that that is a fake video. How do you do it? I've put a lot of thought into that as a trial attorney. I actually want to bring together the greatest legal minds in the country and people from Elon Musk down to talk about what happens and how do we deal with this? How do we deal with having AI that can have a video of Darrell Hale or any other politician, or Tom Cruise is one of the most common ones, and you can sort of tell, but some of them you sort of can't, and a lot of people are going to believe that. And would the average juror believe that video? Why would I believe my lying eyes or not? There can be a video of OJ murdering someone, or there can be a video in a divorce case of a husband or a wife doing something. And this happens. They punch themselves and bruise themselves up and make a fake report, and now they can make an audio recording of that person's actual voice doing it. I worry about mine being on the podcast, about what fakery is going to happen and what things are going to be there. And how do you know? How are you going to know? My testimony, and do you believe me? My testimony in court. How do you get there? And it's a big issue. And so anybody watching this podcast, if you have an opinion on that, please comment. And if you are an expert or anybody that if you want to have some discussions on that, that's a legitimate issue that I definitely want to talk more about as much as possible, because it's scaring me about that. And if that's scaring me, I'm also worried about what if AI can get it to where, it's Ultron. Ultron is about to be real. Look at the tricorder, like the button, or the cell phones from Star Trek from the 60s, 70s. Like, I was alive during that time.
That stuff exists.
Yeah,
today. It exists today.
And Ultron, in that imagination, or I'm sorry, Dave, I can't do that. From 2001, which was a big fantasy. That stuff is becoming real. You can online now, people are talking to AI and have no idea that it's not a human.
Well, Jeff Bezos, that's what the Alexa app and talking to Alexa, he based it off the Star Trek computer. He stated that was where the idea came from. So all the stuff that's happened, in science fiction, it's done off a dream, and the technology is catching up to where the dreams are. Mm-hmm. I just pray that it doesn't turn into some Skynet type thing. That's the worst case scenario, to where we're ruled irrelevant.
Right. And Elon Musk has warned on that exact thing. And it will just, if human beings are an obstacle, It will just eliminate human beings and have no second thought about it. The second thought about it might be, do I need to use these human beings because I will never be able to, if something happens or an EMP pulse or something, I won't be able to manipulate the machines or any other non-organic substance to make sure that I'm still alive. So I think what's hopefully more likely, and if it's smart enough, it won't eliminate human life knowing that it would need human life to continue. But think about how we try and eliminate bacteria. We need bacteria in order to survive. It's critical to us. But how much bacteria do we try and eliminate? A lot, right? And that's us. If we have accidentally created a higher form of life or a more powerful form of life, then that's a problem. And how much separation does it take for them to get to the nukes? How much separation do we have with any of that? All it has to do is fake a message from the president to the nuclear facilities. It just has to figure that out. And that's not that complicated. And it just has to trick a human being into sending the message. How complicated is that? And if they're doing Tom Cruise, they can do the president. It gets scary quickly the more you think about it. I try to live my daily life without particularly worrying about it and knowing, faith in God. And if God takes us, okay. I also believe that
But would a
there's
computer
something
really
better.
want to be Biden?
I'm just sitting here going, thanks, Dana, giving someone an idea here.
I don't think I'm giving anybody ideas. I mean, look, the ideas are going to be out there. And guess what? The AI is going to have the idea first.
Yeah, I mean, it's been done with movies too. You know, they talk about the singularity, which is a variant of that, where you actually, a person with a lot of money wants to live forever, and they figure out how to upload themselves up into the internet.
I don't think that's possible. Yeah. I think you may upload something that mimics you. Yeah. But it's not you. It's never going to be you. Your consciousness taken out of a physical body and into a machine body. One, I think that would be hell. Mm-hmm. I think that would literally send you. I don't
think that ends
hell.
I don't think that ends well.
I don't think that ends well at all.
So have you heard the recent thing on Jordan Peterson?
Yes. So did you hear this? I heard this morning.
I just saw little bits and pieces where he's been ordered for like re-education of some sort, or
they're
gonna take his psychology,
taking his license away for not conforming to their political beliefs on the internet,
on the social media. Yep. And he has to take
having an opinion,
some form of class,
and he has to take a re-education class. They're sending him to mind control camp, and then even if he goes to that and then he doesn't comply with the mind control, then he's gonna he pays the penalty there too, and he's fighting it, and he should, and he is the man, and he has the credibility, and he has the mental power and the fortitude and the mind to be able to do it. He's not perfect, but he's correct in that battle. Oh, that's a pure evil.
Well, he
thing.
made us,
and we have the same type of issues with the State Bar of Texas, trying to do a variety of different things. The State Bar of Texas is not, on some things they're for lawyers, and on some things they're just not.
Yeah,
and it's a problem. The disciplinary committee is certainly not there to help lawyers, and they take a very unfair stance against lawyers on things, because lawyers you're constantly attacked. Your job is to go in there and be a knight in shining armor, and you have to fight and defend and do very, very honorable things, and you're constantly being attacked. And then you get attacked, even you get stabbed in the back from your own clients. And the clients then try and be the enemy, and then people that are there that are supposed to be umpires calling balls and strikes are there, and they start turning against you and making unfair calls, and you don't get any kind of chance. You are crucified like the Antichrist. You make one little mistake, and now your whole livelihood that you spent $250,000 or more, $500,000, some people, to go to law school, and you get out, you have $300,000 or $400,000 worth of debt that you can't get out of, and you're out there struggling and fighting the best that you can, and there's one little thing, oh, you didn't know that, and well, you made a mistake, and we're taking everything away from you that you own. It's completely unfair. You don't get warnings. They ruin your reputation. They do everything to. It's horrible. It's like, why would anybody go into this? It's almost impossible to do. It's really, really difficult. It's almost impossible. And yet somehow we manage miracles to happen. And for all the miracles and all the people that you save, you make one little mistake on one little thing, and now they've got you. And they're going to ruin your reputation, take away your ability to earn, and make you want to commit suicide. And if not, they're going to do as good of a job as possible to make you suicidal. But alcohol and drugs will give you a chance with that and those things, which they should. But other little things, there's a lot of things that I see. Now, there are some that, yeah, you shouldn't have done that, and you knew you shouldn't have done that. You did something wrong for the wrong reasons. And some people shouldn't be there. But that should be less and fewer and far between of what it is. A lot of it is wrongfully done, or somebody should get a second chance. And there's, like, for example, a client who has a problem with their lawyer, they don't even have to swear under oath that it happened. They can lie to the grievance committee, and they'll just take it as true. And then the lawyer has the full burden of proving that it's not, which is, in some respects, is okay. But I don't. Let me step off my soapbox there. But yeah, what's happening to Jordan Peterson is it's nonsense.
It's
and
insane.
Canada has a real problem.
Yeah.
With lack of freedom of speech. And Canadian citizens, Canadians, you guys should not stand up for that. You should fight for a constitutional amendment.
Well, supposedly reporters as
for
well.
Freedom of speech.
Like the news.
Oh, everything.
Everything.
You're living under a dictatorship.
Yeah.
If you're in Canada, you're living under oppression. Look at what they did to the truck drivers. They canceled and took their bank accounts for something where the government was preventing them from operating. It's to the level of, you might consider revolution, or if not, maybe don't do it as a revolution, but you need to do it in the ballot box. Why do you keep electing the people that you're electing? Why is Justin Trudeau still the Prime Minister of Canada? Why? Why can't you elect him out? Are your elections rigged and you guys really are voting for that? Or why haven't you united against Justin Trudeau? Why is he still there? Because it seems like it's nonsense. Is the message not getting out? What is going on? What is preventing that from happening? Mm-hmm. I don't understand. I don't know a lot about Canadian politics, but for how they are doing that, and anybody that is oppressing your speech, anybody in the United States that's limiting your freedom over and over and over again, it would be a good idea to get rid of them. We should stand up more for our rights, because our rights have been massively taken away. We're under an illusion that this is the same America that our grandparents and ancestors were under, the thing that made this country great. It's far too we've ceded far too much control, especially to the federal government. But
you have to look at it like this. Like, the one thing that I love about America is when there's a tragedy, we all come together. And I wish that message can stay alive. It's just like the young man who just recently collapsed on the football field, Damar Hamlin. Mm-hmm. Like, the entire country was praying and coming together.
Yep.
Like, why can't that spirit keep going?
I think that a lot of the media and the politicians are often Neverland and very different from what the vast majority of people want. There was a statistical analysis that was done, and I wish I had the citation for this. I wish I would have kept it, and I'll look more into this. So I'm going to give you the idea. If somebody can put the link, somebody in the comments, somebody that knows about this. But there was a study that was done, and they basically compared surveys about policies and things that American populace wants. And no matter how much they wanted it or how much they didn't want it, on any particular bill, there's like a 30% chance that it will get passed, regardless of what the voting populace thinks. And that there was no difference in whether it's something good, something bad, whether the people want it, whether they don't. whether it's Republican, Democrat, it doesn't matter. Pretty much statistically, it was like a flat line of the chances of something getting done or not done. It's almost completely random and it's pretty much all political in that. And that was the breakdown of it. So I don't know. Something has to change. Maybe what's going on with the McCarthy thing, they're going to figure that out. Term limits would be a good one.
In Congress and Senate.
And also not being able to, once you're in Congress, not being able to go to work for anybody that does any business with the federal government. You should have to have all your investments in a blind trust. Not being able to do exactly what made Nancy Pelosi rich, which was, I'm getting ready to vote on a bill tomorrow, so I'm going to buy their stock now, and then I'm going to approve their thing that causes their stock to jump way up, and then I'm going to sell out and make millions of dollars. That's absolutely wrong. Insider trading, Congress is allowed to do it. How is that possibly possible?
Yeah, I really do. One of the things that they're really pushing for, the group of 20, is to have the rules such that they can actually bring things to the floor and debate and argue on them and actually have real substantial discussions over the validity of a bill. Mm-hmm. And I think that's well warranted. And that's the same thing that's happening at the state level here in Texas. That's the only reason why there's such an uproar about Democrat chairs, is that there's no way to really bring a bill to the floor and have debate and vote on it unless it passes through the committee. And if you have someone on the committee that's going to be able to snuff out 50% of the bills one way or another, Republican or Democrat, either way, there's no method to actually vote on something. Mm-hmm. That's why there's such an uproar about appointing Democrat chairs, because they can snuff out Republican priority bills. There's no way to get some of the bills onto the floor of the House to debate if it goes into a certain committee, it's going to get killed. So that's the same thing happening both at the federal level and at the state level. Is people are wanting to see stuff discussed and argued and talked about, mm-hmm. Whether it's a good bill or a bad bill. Heck, just getting people on their vote and actually recording a vote mm-hmm. on how they really feel about something as your elected representative. That way whether or not they actually are representing your own ideas and ideals yep. that you hold to yourself, that you thought you were voting for them for. And in which case it's being killed off in a back room somehow.
We should start some kind of podcast. This is a way bigger project. But we should start some kind of podcast where it talks about where you go through and do a quick rundown. This could be something that somebody could put on TikTok or a YouTube short or whatever. And it says, here are the bills so you live in this area. So Kevin McCarthy, right? Here, he voted this way on this bill. 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 Watch us for the next one. Hold Kevin McCarthy accountable. And some personality or something should do that for every one of these different.
There's already something sort of like that online where you can actually find out how often a certain rep voted like another rep. So if you know that you don't like this other rep, how often did this person vote in lockstep with them?
Is it a website you have to go to and read, or is it something that somebody could subscribe to and follow in a channel?
It's a reading type thing.
That's what we need. We need that next level to take it from something that you read to a video that somebody puts out and just here's your report about this, like a news channel.
Yeah.
You want to start that? You want to take on another project? It's tempting. It's tempting. So it'll be interesting to see what Jordan Peterson does, and it'll be interesting to see what Kevin McCarthy does. It'll be interesting to see what Donald Trump does.
Can he claim asylum and come to the U.S.?
Jordan Peterson?
Yeah, everyone else can.
It's only about him losing his license that he's not using anyway. He's fighting the battle on principle.
Yeah,
I think.
But
it would still piss me off.
It's political persecution.
It is political persecution. That's it.
His daughter was online this morning about it, like what's happening to her dad. She was really upset, and she was wanting people to speak out about it.
Well, Joe Rogan spoke out about it. That's how I heard about it this morning.
Yeah, I listened to Joe Rogan too.
I just watched short. It just came up in my YouTube feed,
yeah.
and I was like, oh.
Yeah. It's pretty interesting.
I want to have Jordan Peterson on the podcast at some point. I don't know what it's going to involve for me to do that. Yeah. Our podcast is way too small at this point. But we're building it with great guests like Darrell Hale, yes. So he's the Hale, yes, from All the Signs.
Yes.
You know that?
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah. I think it's the greatest political slogan ever.
Yes.
Hey, my wife helped me come up with it. Wife and friends. We had Hale, yes, and Give 'em Hale. Those were the two choices.
I like that.
That's good. You should use them both.
Yeah.
You should use them both. Mm-hmm. Like you've got plenty of Hale, yes signs, so get those out too. But Give 'em Hale.
Yeah.
And put those in different areas. So you see one that says hell yes, and give them hell.
Yeah. Do them both.
Yeah.
Because that'll get talked about.
That's funny. That's good.
That's really good. Use them
Yeah,
both, man.
it's catchy.
I'm dead serious. That's a brilliant idea. Any other ones? It seems like there should be a lot more.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, that it came from the Hale, yes, and Give 'em Hale.
Yeah.
My wife came up originally. She was just word playing through a bunch of stuff. She goes, Hale to the no. Oh, that's my screen name on my Android gaming. And Hale no, that don't work. I said, Hale yes, and Give 'em Hale.
Yeah.
That's what my dad would yell from the football stands onto the
There
field.
you go.
Yeah.
He would yell it out loud. My mom would slap him in the shoulder and tell him to quit yelling that. It was embarrassing.
I don't think so. Yeah. I think it's great.
Yeah.
It's so good. You're telling stories about it later,
Yeah.
20 years later, or more, maybe.
Yeah.
It's just like Dana thinks he created Hardy Har Har. I
No,
heard that
I don't
my
think
whole
I
life.
created it. I'm just bringing it back.
Yeah.
So you got a problem? Go to Hale.
Yeah. Go to Hale.
That'd be a good one.
That's
Actually,
funny.
we'll solve the problem though. I'm telling him to go to Hale.
So, what advice do you have for a young person in life? What's your best life advice that you would want to give?
It's the same thing that I give to my daughters. Find something that you're passionate about and good at, and just be exceptional at it, no matter what it is. Because if you're exceptional in anything in the United States, you'll be successful, no matter what it is. If you're a great athlete, you're a great athlete. If you're a great artist, if you're, a great writer, just whatever you're really good at, focus in on that thing and be great at it.
Have you seen his daughter's art?
I haven't.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Really great artist. I mean, really, really talented.
Well, I like what you tell your daughters. That's important.
I really like that too.
Because in life, you got to be happy in what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I have a little bit of advice I'll tag on to that. If you happen to have a job that is not your ultimate job, it's something that you're doing because you need the money and you have to do it. It's a job that somebody has to do. There is no shame and no problem with that. I have cleaned toilets. I have done all kinds of manual labor. I have been a stagehand. When I really wanted to be the one performing, well, I set up the stage that day. I set up the drums for the Stone Temple Pilots one day. I was on that road crew. I was Tommy, not the road crew, but the local crew. Mm-hmm. I set up the stage for Tommy Lee. What's the guy from Dr. Feelgood band? Motley Crue. Tommy Lee, I guess.
It's Tommy Lee.
I was like Tommy Lee Jones. No,
the
that's
one with Pamela, who was with Pamela
Yeah.
Anderson. Yeah, it's Tommy
Yeah.
Lee.
And I've done a minute amount of road construction and housing construction. I've done a lot of cleaning. When I was in law school, I was cleaning other waiters' apartments. I've done.
So
it
instead
all.
of doing
Waited a
their
lot of
side
tables.
work, you're cleaning their apartments.
No, so on.
People will do that.
So
The
we
waiters
were
will pay other
the-
waiters to do their side work.
Oh, Jennifer, I was the king of I will. You can pay me to do your side work any point in time, and the more desperate that you are to leave, then it went from 5 to 10. If you really wanted to leave, it was $10. If you just were like okay with it, it was 5. It was always a negotiation.
That's one of my daughter's sculptures that she did.
That is excellent.
What I should have done is I should have had a subscription plan of I'll do all your side work for a monthly fee of something.
Great job. Doing that side profile.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So
How old is she?
19.
do you guys have
Oh,
a
that's
camera?
great.
You could zoom it in. We'll add it later in post. Yeah. So, yeah, phenomenal, isn't it?
Yes, very much so.
She's won when she was in high school. She won state competitions, didn't she?
Yeah, she got a gold seal at State Vase as a sophomore. So
awesome.
and really, it's all about having a great teacher. Her teacher,
Who was her teacher?
Mr. Buscemi, up out of Independence High School, they actually changed the rules for State Vase to disadvantage Independence High School because too many kids were winning state gold seals out of his class and high
What
school.
did they change the rule? Only
They
one
changed
per
it.
school
They
or
changed
something?
one of the criteria was photorealism and actually how accurate it was to what you actually saw.
Mm-hmm.
And his were too lifelike. All his artists were able to produce art that was too good, and so they changed it to be more subjective and arbitrary and just. Now
Dumb
you
it
have
down
now
so
you have
Yeah, lower
now
your
you-
standards.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
And change the standards to where you can basically give the award to people who don't really earn it.
Well, it's just
and the
like,
less talented
it's
people.
just like
That's
awarding
just wrong.
kids. Every kid gets an award because they don't want to cause any issues.
Yeah.
But that doesn't
I
really
got-
teach
they
you
would give out
anything.
like 100 gold seals.
The closest I
and
ever
you
got
had
to that.
Frisco getting like 18 to 20 for one high school, and out of Frisco, that 18 to 20 gold seals, half of them were coming from Independence with like 80% from his class. So he was getting like
So
8 to
good.
9.
Yeah.
Then there's your
Fantastic.
competition. That's the one
Yeah.
to beat.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. It wasn't. They switched it away from being kind of on the merit. I don't know what they're judging it on now because there's some wacky stuff that's winning gold seals now.
Yeah. So now they put it subjective, and now they can go woke. And so if your subject matter is woke, or if they can tell in some kind of way, then they're going to give you the award just for that, even though you haven't earned it. It's just not right.
Yeah. No.
There should be something objective. And are they? Is it at least blind, or do they know who it is?
It's blind. They don't know who it is.
Okay,
But
that's good.
what's weird is, Erin, her one year she had two that at the district level got 100 rating on both of her pieces, but neither one of them went to State Vase because
What?
I don't know. It was weird. It's because they changed the rules. They changed the rules, and
Yeah.
So just like Congress, any government, ultimate power
write the rules.
corrupts ultimately. Yeah, if you write the rules, you control the game. You can pick the winners.
Yeah, but having a fantastic teacher, that's what's really important.
You want to promote your daughter? You at least tell her name on the podcast, or you want to keep it private? You want to ask her? Does she have anything she's selling or promoting?
She doesn't have anything she's selling or promoting yet. She's still kind of figuring out exactly what she wants to do. She's exploring, all kinds of different mediums. Plus, she is putting herself through school by an ROTC scholarship. So
Oh, that's awesome.
she's going to go into the military, and that'll give her time to do her art as well on the side. And anywhere you have a tablet anymore, you can do artwork. And she was doing drawings of just military activities, things that
Cool.
people were doing. When they were out in the field, she would take it with her and just sketch something out in 20, 30 minutes.
Wow.
She's fast too when she draws.
Wow,
Yeah.
that is a remarkable talent. I got basically nowhere into any kind of drawing type of talents.
Yeah, she's actually at a school. She's up at Creighton, so she's up in Omaha, and the school is a Jesuit school, so they work on a well-rounded individual, and they make everyone take an art class as part of their education, and that has caused, because of how many kids and everyone's taking art, there is such a breadth of different type of art classes. That she is able to get a fine arts degree there, even though it's primarily a business and nursing. It's a pre-professional type school. where they're going there to be attorneys and doctors and
Wow.
nurses.
That's a great education. To be a lawyer, you should just get the most well-rounded type of education that you can.
Yeah.
Too many lawyers don't have good science and mathematics type of backgrounds, I think. There's a thing of lots of lawyers like, oh, I suck at math and I'm not good at.
Yeah, so she's taking ceramics so she can get into the empty bowls. Ultimately, is going to be one of her things that she does as her like junior and senior year projects to do community-based fundraising and doing actual ceramic bowls that they sell.
Cool.
Sell to
nice.
Provide
It's a good project.
to feed the homeless and
Oh, cool.
yeah.
That's really good.
Now I'm hungry.
Yeah. We should expect, the people that we elect to really be representative of us.
Exactly.
Whenever we have a lot of elitist people that are in positions of power that we've granted them, you're going to get a lot of elitist mindset out of it.
Yeah.
And if you don't, we just need normal people. We need normal people that are in office.
I very much see. I said that mostly as a joke, just 'cause I'm trying to be entertaining for the podcast. But I mostly see people just as people. I don't. I like to respect people's time and things like that. But as an attorney, you get so deep inside of people's lives, and we have such a responsibility and opportunity but obligation and power to affect their lives in so many different ways, especially in family law. I know things within a few minutes that almost no one else in the world ever will know about these people, and I see them on the inside, and I deal with so many of those people that living in that type of world or mindset or exposure or like spiritual realm almost or level of existence, I just see everybody as people. I know a lot of famous people, and to me they're just like, you're Darrell, she's Jennifer, he's Alejandro, she's Trinity, Summer is Summer. Any of the famous people that I know, they're just them, and I know them as them. And yeah, they happen to do this, but it's just they do that thing, and to me it's no different. And I think to a lot of people, they see the show, whereas I know it's a mouse in a costume. I don't, and I can see and appreciate it from that point of view. But then I also know and just see the behind the stage of most people's lives, and it's my profession over the past 20 years has changed me into that, and that's just where I happen to have grown. And it's one of the reasons why we do this podcast, is to try and share and give glimpses as much as we can into that and into people's lives. And I really appreciate you coming and spending the time with us. I really learned a lot about the Commissioner's Court that I kind of sort of knew about but didn't know specifically about. So I learned a lot, and you were really...
No one knows about the Commissioner's Court, really, until you're actually elected into the position.
Rule 1 about Commissioner's Court: we do not talk about Commissioner's Court.
The first rule of
Commissioner's Court.
is you do not talk about.
Commissioner's Court.
Second rule of
Commissioner's Court.
is you do not talk about.
Or when we do, no one cares, and they go
Rule
to sleep.
2: no one cares about the Commissioner's Court. I found it fascinating and very, very interesting. And as a person, I wish more politicians were like you, because I've watched you since you became into the office. I knew you before. I've watched you during, and I think you do a really, really great job. And holy cow, do you work hard. You've door knocked. He's block walked and knocked on more than 10,000 doors, and I know he has.
Wow.
And he's really good at it. I have tried to block walk a lot, and I suck. And I do other things really well in life.
It's a commitment. You just have to get into a routine.
Yeah, once
you get into the
structural routine,
it really takes about 500 doors before you really start getting the feel of what to do. Once you hit about 500 doors, you know whether you're going to be able to really do it or not.
I obviously haven't hit 500 doors.
Yeah. The first couple hundred, it was like, oh man, this is going to be intimidating.
Really
yeah. And then, when I first started block walking, I knocked about 250 doors and it just started to get my feet wet. Went on vacation with my wife, because she wanted a good vacation before I really started campaigning heavy. And, we came back, I dove in and, didn't look back until, later that year. Once I hit about 5,000 doors, I felt like I'd actually knocked on a few doors.
Oh, yeah.
I think so. Because I did a lot of block walking. The most block walking I think I've ever done was for Jay Bender. And I don't know, that was like 10 years ago. It's probably the most I ever did. Because I've helped local judges and things and other things. I don't want to go too far into it of that. I'm trying not to be political. And we're having...
It's hard when you have a political person on the show.
Well, and we do talk politics. I mean, we've had several Republican judges and we've had Democrat judges. We've had people that, and it comes up, and we've had Republicans, we've had Democrats, we've had independents, we've had all kinds of different people. And I'll also tell you this. So I went to an investiture, and something that surprised me a little bit. It's for Judge Vonda Bailey, she was Judge Vonda B on YouTube, had a big YouTube channel, but she wasn't actually a judge yet. It was just a show to educate her just people about how court works, and it was a simulation, but it was fairly accurate, and it was accurate to Texas law and things like that. But she actually just won, and I've seen a lot of things. Living in Collin County, you go to political functions, and most of them are Republican things, and then Dallas County is Democrat stuff. And I went, and she was sworn in by John Wally Price, and she's a Democrat, ran as a Democrat. And I was surprised at how much God was mentioned and that they were praying there, because I thought recently that the Democratic Party was going in the woke direction and trying to get God out of anything, and we're not doing any of that. And at least in that part of Dallas County, and that how they were praying to Jesus. They mentioned Jesus' name. They did pray. There was a couple of prayers, and I was like, this is not that really any different than what I've seen at Republican things. So going to Republican events and that event, and I'm sitting there going, why are we not united? Because all of these people in this room, and all the people in the Republican room, and all the people in the Democrat room, and in these two rooms of the last two, because I went to a Republican one and I went to a Democrat one, and going, all these people together probably agree on almost everything. Why can't that be united? And why not? What's with these coalitions and what's going on? And to me, I was just going, it's just a shame that it's gotten to this, and that there's an us versus them type of thing, and that it has become so divided. It would really be nice if somebody could figure that out, because I feel like I could have united those two rooms and united those people. Like, I want to invite all of you and all of you.
Maybe that's your mission.
Maybe it has crossed my mind, but I also know I feel like I'm at least 10 years away from even thinking about perhaps doing that. But I'm doing things that have every indication that would extend my life extensively. I mean, I exercise now 12 hours a week. I spend working out. All I ever drink is water. All I eat is meat, fish.
Don't run for office.
Fruits.
It's rough on you.
Yeah. Well, the thing...
Oh, I can imagine. It's like, look at the presidents when they go in and then when they go out.
Well,
like,
the thing, the real danger to me, I think, is my cortisol level of just stress and worry about things. And that's the thing that I worry about. But that's why I'm doing all this other work. Because it's work.
Go through another COVID type event. Everything else is cake.
Yeah.
Well, especially for you.
Once you max out your stress for a good year.
I don't know how you do it, man. Because no matter what side of that you were on, about half of the people out there are hating you for it. And I don't know how you deal with that type of stress.
You come to the realization that portion of them just aren't going to appreciate that you're trying to do the right thing for everybody. And, there's just certain people that just aren't going to like you. And that's just the way it is, that there's just a certain segment that is not going to ever agree with you. So you just got to stick by your principles and what you got elected on. And that, I believe that the Republican Party principles is the best way to approach government. And that's the way I'm going to apply it. And it's been great for Collin County. So, the proof's in the pudding. It's been a great benefit for Collin County. Now, yes, there's Democrats that, work right alongside us and, are helping to fulfill it. But it's been the Republican policies that's guided the county for that period of time.
As I'm sitting here thinking about it, I'm going, well, probably about half the people that we deal with also hate us. Because I
would think exactly half.
Here's what I was thinking.
In a divorce case,
I was like,
anyway.
well, though there are a lot of opposing sides that really, really like us. And then I was like, yeah, but there's also some even of our own clients that don't like us. It's the nature of it. There are going to be people that are going to hate their lawyer no matter what their lawyer does. There is no hoop that you can jump through. There's no amount of communicating with them and that are helping them explain it. They're frustrated with the situation, and you're the personification of that, and they can't separate the two. There are people that are like that. There are people that are very, very difficult to help.
It's that way. And, when I had my painting business, it was that way. And, the retail painting business, even the people that picked you to do your job, there was always going to be that. I found it to be about 1 out of every 250 to 500 people was just that one special customer that no matter what you did, it wasn't going to be right. And then we would have a few more that were to a lesser extent, about 1 in 100 that, was troublesome. But, you remember those extra special customers.
I would ballpark we have 2 to 3 times that, because I would say 2 or 3%.
Yeah, you're coming from a contentious basis
or
already.
maybe a little bit more than that, but I don't think it's probably more than 5%. What do you think? But I would think we have at least 2 or 3% that are. We have somebody that's got a problem with their marriage, and they got problems, and some of our clients, it's them. It's just the nature of it, and we're not getting nothing but the
some of that dysfunction leaches over into the relationship.
Some people have
with
relationship problems, and they're going to have a relationship problem with us as well. It's just the nature of it. And a family law attorney, if you see nothing but 5-star reviews, I might be a little suspicious that no one's unhappy with them. I don't know of any attorney
either that or
anywhere.
They're really good at scoping out the people that they don't want to work with because they already anticipate that.
Yes, that is definitely
they
a
might have
factor
a
in it.
sixth sense or a kind of a spidey sense for it, and I bet you're getting better at it too. I bet now that you're a more mature attorney in your line of work, that you can probably see warning signals.
Yes, but the question is when and how much of the warning signals make you reject them, or when you start down the path and then it's revealed later.
Yeah,
and it's the latter of it where, and it's the nature of our business. We're dealing with among the most damaged people. We're dealing with a lot of people. Some of them are mentally ill, or at least to a certain extent. Some of them are good people in bad situations. And when we see the worst of people.
Yeah. You just need a better questionnaire whenever you're initially filling out information.
We have one that's really, really good. And listen, there are some law firms that half of their clients are that, or more than half. Yeah. Some lawyers would say all my clients. So there are some family lawyers out there that hate all their clients, and that they have 1 or 2 or 3, maybe 5% of their clients that they actually like or are nice. And the reason why is because of our branding, because we tell our clients, we tell them exactly who we are. We're hoping that they're watching the podcast to see exactly what and who we are.
Yeah,
And-
when I had my painting company, if we saw someone that one of the first things they said was, "Yeah, we need someone to finish this job because it's already been started, and they walked off or they left or we fired them." No matter what the situation was, we just wouldn't even pick up to. There was too much business out there that it's like, sorry, we don't complete other people's work. We don't pick up on other people's because there's too much liability for us. We just don't do it.
Yep.
And we would just tell them it's a policy. It took me a year out of the 5 years that we did business to pick up on that. And then, it's hard because you want all the business you can get, but man, it would be such a distraction sometimes when we would start trying to complete other people's work or, pick up a job, or if, whenever the first thing that they're telling, people usually tell you who they are in your first encounter.
Yep.
The first thing they tell you is, we fired the other guy. Well, it's like, well, how quickly is that going to happen with us?
Yep.
So,
and what little thing that is a normal thing are you going to blow way out of proportion and think that we're evil and use that as an opportunity to try and steal work from us and not pay us or whatever? Yeah, all that stuff.
At least with retail, whenever we're putting work into a house, there's lien laws that help us significantly.
Yep.
If it's done correctly, and you have to read the code and follow it correctly.
Well, that's also one of the reasons why lawyers have to get paid up front. And it's kind of like an airline ticket. Airline tickets have to be paid in advance. Taxi cabs pay afterwards. Although now, really not even, because not a lot.
With Uber,
you're paying up front. Uber and Lyft, they run your card up front and they know, so they've got payment up front. Restaurant, you pay at the end. But airline, no one's going to. But a lot of people would take a plane and then never pay for it. Same thing with lawyers. A lot of people don't want to pay after it's done.
Yeah, you make a bad vote, you're stuck with that guy for 4 years. So you're paying for a long time.
That is a good point. All right. Well, thank you very much for. And do you have any questions for him? I was hoping you're going to say no, because I was like, "Oh, wait."
I was going to ask you one thing. So, being in politics, do you find yourself like people walking up to you like, "Hey," just out of the blue?
You're pretty recognizable because of the Hale Yes.
Yeah. What's funny is most people, I'll have, I'm getting my MBA right now, and I'll have people that, out of that class, they introduce me. Hey, this is my classmate, Darrell Hale. He's a county commissioner. They're like, oh, okay, that's right. He goes, yeah. And they just kind of like look at me blankly. And they said, yeah, he's the one that had the Hale Yes signs. Oh. Hale Yes. And there was this awareness of association.
That's you? Yeah.
That's you. And it's kind of funny. It's like the marketing awareness appears all of a sudden. So that's kind of funny. But no, I
need something like that. Eliminate your paina with Dana.
Yeah. Yeah.
Eliminate your what?
Paina.
Take away your paina with Dana.
That sounds a little bad, though.
Your
Yeah, no.
It's not working, right? No. But our branding is what filters out to get the good clients. With the brand of soft divorce or healthy divorce, it's a no jerks policy, because a jerk wants revenge, and we have a very strict no revenge policy. We tell them that straight out, every one of them.
You're trying to get something done cleanly, neatly.
Yeah, we want a healthy result. So when you're skiing, if somebody says avoid the trees, don't hit a tree, and you're looking at the trees, you're going to hit a tree. Where do you look when you're skiing? The space in between the trees. You look at where you want to go. When you're driving a car, if you start spinning out, what do? You point the wheels in the direction you want to go. You're driving a race car, you do not look at the wall. You look at where you want to go. That's where you point the wheels. For us, focusing on healthy, that's what we get.
Even see it in government. There was a city that had an agreement with a developer, and it was so bad that I actually told them, once I looked at it, I said, y'all just need to figure out how to get it with the developer. Y'all need to redo this because it's so disproportionately towards one end, it's just not going to end well. And it didn't. They're now embroiled in a lawsuit. So, and it's not their fault. It's just, if you're totally unbalanced, it's going to come back to haunt you later on, no matter what.
In a divorce, a lot of people are trying to continue the argument and prove that they're right. And one of the things that we will often do is validate, yes, you are absolutely right. Now, what is it that we need to do to get you through the divorce process in the healthiest way possible?
Yeah.
And when we're focusing on getting them through in the healthiest way possible, we almost always get better results than are even legally possible in court. Because I can do a solution like, hey, look, we're sitting here and there's 4 segments to this table. There's basically 4 tables here. You take 2, I'll take 2. Or if we go to court, the court's going to cut them all 4 in half. And then you're going to get half of a table that you try and put together. It's like taking a chainsaw through the middle of your life. Court is a last resort. What we prefer to do is declare peace and then negotiate the terms of the peace. If we have to go to war, we're going to win the war. I love the walk softly but carry a big stick. I got a really big stick. I literally carry a cane into court. I literally carry a stick. And I love the symbolism. I have a big stick, but I hope that I never have to use it on anyone. It's literally that. And because we do filter out to where 97, 98, 99, sometimes all 100% of our clients are the good people, because those are the ones that we represent, when we do go into court, we do magnificently. Why? Because we have the obviously reasonable client that's easy to believe. And our reputation precedes itself, because I'm out here on a podcast repeating this over and over. I'm telling this to our clients. It's who we are. It's what we do. It's what we stand for. And when we focus on healthy, that is what we get. And we also get the results usually much faster at a much overall good value for what it is that we do. Our costs are almost always less than a real estate agent. If we got somebody who has $2 million worth of property that we're dividing in the divorce, we're selling that property and splitting the proceeds between 2 people. A realtor selling a $2 million house, you're going to pay 3% to 2 realtors and about 2.5% closing costs, 8.5%. That's $85,000 per $1 million. That's $165,000. That, where a realtor would be charging, you'd be paying $165,000 for that.
Much better to get them to
ours
actually
will be 10% of what that fee would be.
Much better to get them to agree to just divide the property roughly, and if they decide to sell it later, it's going to be the same result. It's just they can decide at their whim.
Well, and we can also maximize tax benefits for them.
Yeah.
We almost always pay for ourselves in those things too. Hiring us in a lot of people's cases is a net gain for them, even doing a 50-50 division. And because we are equivalent of about the closing costs of most transactional things, and usually don't have to do a whole lot of fighting, because we're really good at negotiating. And when we get both sides to buy into what's healthy and go, look, you guys are not good as spouses anymore, but especially if they have kids, you guys have to co-parent.
Yeah, you mentioned Charlie Malalo at the very beginning of the podcast, where we met through Top Golf, and then Robert Gralla. I've heard them both use the same thing. It's like, you think a professional is expensive, wait till you hire an amateur. So
exactly, exactly, or that you try and be that amateur.
Yeah,
if you wouldn't change your own oil, what are you saving $50 on that? And it's an oil change. I say this. Here's the exact analogy. If you wouldn't try to if you're on an American Airlines plane, if you wouldn't feel comfortable to go into the cockpit and try and land that plane to save your life and your family's life that's on that plane, you probably shouldn't do your own legal, because it actually takes more time to become an attorney, and especially a competent attorney, than it does to become a licensed pilot.
Would you perform heart surgery on yourself?
Right. And doctor and lawyer is the same amount of education that it takes to get to do that. Yeah. And the other thing is that if you had graduated from high school, taken the SAT, gotten accepted into college, went to college, graduated, got good enough grades, applied to law school, took the LSAT, got a good enough test on that, which LSAT's basically an intelligence test. get accepted to law school, go to 3 years of law school. So you got an undergraduate degree for 4 years and a 3-year doctorate degree, and then you graduate, and you go through a background check, and then you become an attorney, and you study for months and take the bar exam, and you finally get your law license. Then you go to work for a mentor attorney for long enough to where you're into your hundreds worth of cases. If you've done like 100 divorce cases at a minimum, at that point, you would know enough to not do your own divorce case. Never do your own divorce case. Even as a divorce attorney. If I was to get a divorce, Daniel Bomer from our office would definitely be double checking my own divorce decree and running that. I probably would do my own right, I think. And I'm pretty sure Summer and I would do a 50-50 straight just division of that. I'm pretty sure. And I probably would also
Summer?
give her I'd probably also give her the maximum chart spousal maintenance. Yeah. I would take really good care of her. Even if she was hyper problematic, if she cheated on me, if it was
So you're saying you
clearly
wouldn't
everything
fight over the dogs?
I think she's already said that we
they
already know
got
what the dog division.
divided.
She would give me Worthy and Star, and she would take Dream and Vision, although I would be more leaning towards her taking all 4 of them and making sure she has, because she goes, well, I wouldn't be able to afford the dogs. And I was like, yes, you would. You're getting half of everything, and I would give you maximum spousal maintenance. So, but the better thing is, though, is that we have a healthy marriage. But the reason why I probably won't get that divorce is because I am the type of guy that will do the right thing. And in that, even the guys that are willing to do all that stuff still need to come to us. And I need to still run a check of, are you giving too much or not? Because there are some people that want to definitely give too much. And I go, hold on, you're going to take care of the other side, and especially if the other side is bad with money, but you're going to give them all the money, that's not a good solution. We need to figure out something to where they're going to be able to keep this money, and they're going to actually be able to, we need to make sure that they're not going to squander this money that God has given you the permission to be the steward of, and the blessing to be the steward of. And there are times when we have a client that wants to give too much, and we make sure that they do that very carefully and in very specific ways that take care of all right, because I'm going to ask you questions like, what if you were injured in a car wreck and you can't take care of yourself? Then what? Or what if you lose your job? Then what? What if this financial thing happens? Then what? And we make sure that we have all those bases covered. We make sure that they've got life insurance. We don't sell it to them. We just say, you need to have life insurance here, because what we're doing is we're creating a deal that sets them on the path for the future. And if we just do what most people think, oh, well, let's just do this and be done, it's more complicated than that because of things that you're not aware of that you're going to have happen to you if you do that particular deal. And we're only going to be able to recognize that deal and help to anticipate things that make your life better and easier going forward. That's the better value of that we do. And a lot of firms don't do that. I have heard an attorney who had been practicing for twice as long as I was at the time say, you can't do any of that stuff. All you do is divide it in half and send them on their way. You can't affect or improve the rest of their lives. And I kind of feel bad for my immediate reaction was that's I said something to the effect of that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life, or that I think that's the worst approach that I've ever seen a divorce attorney take on this, which I wish I hadn't said that. And I like that attorney and have apologized to that attorney at this point. But that was my immediate visceral reaction was, no, we are tasked with something that is far more important than that. How this goes directs and angles and dictates and gives you a path for the whole rest of your life. Yeah, maybe you'll deviate off the path, or there's a lot of forks and you'll get a lot of choices. But we need, and when we use that guide point of focus on healthy and go in the direction of what's really healthy, and we judge everything in healthy, because there are times, one of my best friends, Probably the best friend, and at least in different parts of my life. He's a lifelong friend. He could have gotten a whole lot more by going to court. And instead, he gave his ex a lot of money, and he did that so that she could be the best mom for his kids that she could be. And when you look at it from a different perspective, then there are different things that you do. The attorneys that say, we're going to get you what you're entitled to and push that you deserve, and entitle, you deserve. And you were wronged, and they need to pay for this because you're right. You're right. Oh, you're right. You're right. They're going to make a lot of money off of that client. And that client's going to get a whole lot better results, but they're going to think that they did great. Oh, yeah, we won at the end. And because they pushed that entitlement button. And that it's real easy for lawyers to do. It's my fundamental mission in life that lawyers do not do that. Focus on what is healthy for the client. I have a case right now that we're looking at it going, if we settle at this, you're going to pay it to the other person that you don't particularly like, but we'll end now, or you're going to pay it to us to fight it, and we'll win. We will win. But I will always take paying money to somebody else rather than paying money to us. Why? Because I have infinity business, and as soon as I'm done with that case, I go right to the next case. And I'd rather, we have to get paid for what it is that we do, but I'd rather make that money and then go to the next case than make twice as much money or 10 times as much money and do 10 cases instead of 10 times as much money on one case. That is our fundamental core principles in how we operate the Palmer Law Group. And that's what I believe in. And that's the message that I want other attorneys, it's my mission. I want other attorneys to operate that way. I'm trying to teach as many of them as possible to do that. Because the pushing that you're entitled to button, it ruins people's souls. And it's not good. You're there to help them and help relieve them. For me, being in family law is missionary work. I'm there to get them clarity, and I'm there to get them into a healthier space. And it's really a lot of even what it is that we do is secondary to helping them with even their mindset. That's always the first thing, to focus on healthy, because when that's what you're looking at, that's what you're steering to, and that's what where you're going, that's what you get. And it is a much better way to handle any kind of family law case. Healthy solutions. Just like having a good, healthy county. And I really appreciate that we live in a good, healthy county. Thanks in large part to you and Chris Hill and all the other county commissioners in Collin County. It's a great place to live.
Absolutely.
For now. Hopefully for a
long
while and a long time.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate it. Thanks you, Darrell, for joining us. And we'll keep an eye out for your daughter in the future.
Okay.
Well, one of these days we'll have her come in and show some of her art and maybe talk with her about her experiences.
Maybe she can sketch you live while you're
that'd be
here.
Cool.
That would be cool.
She's quick too.
It'd probably be better to sketch Jennifer. No one wants to look at me. I mean, look at the two there. Which one would you like? We just keep her around because she's a pretty face, and if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be able to have a video podcast because.
Whatever.
You get too many down thumbs.
No, I must, right? I don't know. If Joe Rogan can do it and other guys can do it, I guess I can do it. I'm just joking about all this. I'm just trying to build you up, Jennifer.
Thank you.
And we do have Jennifer Hardy Har Har t-shirts with that picture on it. It says Jennifer Hardy Har Har, nice and big. And I don't know how many of those we've sold, but I can't wait to see one out in public. That's when I'll think we've actually this podcast is worth it. If I see somebody wearing a Jennifer Hardy Har shirt, and if we get big enough, and we can do a live show in a theater or something. If everybody's wearing Jennifer Hardy Har Har shirts, I would just. I would just.
Shirt I haven't even
it would
seen.
make my day. So, and I have worn my Hale Yes shirts quite a few times because, like I said, I wish more people were like you. So, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for coming on.
And we will see you on the next episode of the Lawyer Dana podcast. Please like, subscribe, hit that notification button, and got a lot of really good things in 2023. See you next time.
Bye-bye.
The Lawyer Dana Podcast.